Constable Bryan Ward, 29 years policing. You would have seen a lot, would have gone through a lot.
Yeah. People who aren't a first responder normally see, I think it's about 4 to 9 incidences of trauma in a lifetime. A police officer with 20 years experience will get about 6 to 800. That gives you some idea of the stuff that we see. Other times you'll do stuff and you'll be driving home and you'll be like, I think I just saved that person's life. And then I had a big incident happen in my life, and it was from that moment onwards, I pretty much went, right, every single person I meet, I'm going to try and treat with kindness and compassion as best as I can. It was because of a spectacular breakup between a girl that I'd been dating for about 5 years. And it was just that moment of, all of a sudden, I'm not perhaps who I thought I was. Yeah, probably the darkest time in my life, if I've got to be honest. I wasn't withdrawn, but I wasn't the same person. Inside, I was broken, to be fair.
What's the closure? Do you get to call her? Do you get to speak to her?
I haven't spoken to her in 30 years.
That was the last
contact I've ever had with her.
Welcome to the Stand Up Again podcast with Sophie and Nick Rado.
I really enjoyed today's guest. He served on the police for 29 years. He's won the Queen's Service Medal. He's been bestowed the Winston Churchill Fellow. But you'll know him better as one half of Bryan and Bobby,
the kids' TV show.
The children's television show that has been on our screens for about 20 years. But you will not believe, even though he's been in the police for this long, what has kind of
his
story, right? It's been haunting him for like the last 30 years.
He was telling us today that not even some of his closest friends knew some of the darkest places he's been to. And if you're listening at home or you're watching at home, you've been through something similar. We're talking heartbreak and how to come through it.
Yeah, today's guest is Constable Bryan Ward. Constable Bryan Ward. Is that your official title? That
is my official title.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Hey, thanks for coming in.
Pleasure.
Hey, listen, for those that aren't aware of your accolades, I kind of think, we were reading them and they were absolutely brilliant. So Winston Churchill Fellow, and I just learnt that there's a difference between a fellowship and a fellow. Fellowship, you're about to do it, or you're currently
so
doing
you can't become a fellow until you've actually completed your fellowship.
Makes sense.
I have to be honest, I didn't know that until about 2 years ago.
Okay, all right. Winston Churchill Fellow, Queen's Service Medal.
Yep.
You had, I think, about maybe 7 or 8, maybe even 9 years of the really quite successful Bryan and Bobby TV series.
I don't know if it was award-winning, so to be fair, maybe for my mum, but nobody else. Yeah, that was on TV. Get ready for this. That was on TV for about 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and even now, because they're showing it in the schools,
yes,
I go into the schools and the kids are like, have you seen this episode? And I'm like,
yeah.
No, tell me what happened. And they're like, and I'm like, phew. I do remember. Yeah. I have to be honest, there's still episodes of it I haven't seen.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because it was like filmed in a days. And,
Watch the first series, watch the second series, and by the time the third series came around, I was like, I've been there doing this for a week. But that has been a real thrill. So the Winston Churchill Fellowship happened because I got another fellowship from the police it was actually 2020. And it's a Wolf Fisher Fellowship, right? And what they do is they give you a amount of money and you basically plan your fellowship around that. And I got mine in 2020. What happened in 2020?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I had the plane tickets booked and everything else, and then they're like, there's something happening and we don't know if. So I had to wait 4 years. But anyway, so I got onto my fellowship. I went to Canada. I spent some time with some amazing people there, including my favourite hockey team, the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
And then I went to a place that my wife had seen a YouTube video and seen this amazing police chief and said, I think you and him would get on. I said, why? And she's like, he's on this Indian reservation and what they do, their community policing just looks amazing. So I watched it and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
By that stage, my fellowship was all planned and I said, hey, is there any chance I could? And he was like, yeah, by all means, you can come up. No worries, right? So I got the invite and I went on and everything else. And as I walked down the stairs, after we'd done a blanketing ceremony, which to them is like a piece of pounamu and everything else.
Wow.
So that gives you somewhat to. And that was how welcoming they were. They were just amazing.
Yeah.
I walked down the stairs and I turned back around at the chief. You know how you definitely don't, so you might do, Nick.
Yeah.
That moment where your mouth works quicker than your brain does and you're like, what are you doing?
Yes.
I turn around to the chief and I say, I don't know how, but I'm coming back because what you've got here is amazing and I want to try and bottle it and take it back. And he's like, anytime, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So the whole way back on the plane, I'm like, how do I get back to see this guy? Scribbling stuff.
Yeah.
And then I found out about these Winston Churchill fellowships.
Oh, interesting.
And normally they only give them to PhDs or academics and everything else. So I think the exact word I got from, I won't mention the gentleman's name, but was good luck to you with a packet of crayons. I'm like, yeah, okay. But luckily I got one.
Wow.
And it was amazing. So I went back with them for 3.5 weeks. I spent with the Satuna Nation Police Service, and did everything from we were herding buffaloes to we were going to set up a teepee, but it was too cold.
Right,
and just going out on patrol with them and seeing stuff, and seeing kids that were different in their cultural background, but not that much different, and that type of thing. It was amazing, and the way that they police people was just incredible. If I could bring it here, I would, but I can't. So so that was that. That was the Winston Churchill Fellowship, and you've got to come back and write a really big report.
Yeah,
which was a stretch.
Justified.
It was good. Yeah,
with your crayons
amazing.
as well.
With the crayons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Broken crayons.
Yeah. And the Queen's Service Medal. What was that about? How do people? Is that like a? Yeah,
so it's a royal honour. So they're blessed again, but it was for a whole bunch of the stuff I've done. So like raising, me and another police officer raised about $90,000 for the Kids First Hospital out in South Auckland. The kids TV show, obviously, doing stuff for Duffy Books and homes and mental health and all that type of stuff. So all those things, it was really, really nice to be acknowledged. And I have to be honest, when they first sort of said, and they do it on a sneaky way, they send you a letter, so it's like, so there's a letter for you, and you look at it, it's like, oh my goodness, it's like, you can't tell anybody. I'm like, oh cool. And I'm like, and the Beatles sort of fan in me went, didn't a couple of the Beatles turn these down? I'm like, it'd be really like punk rock to go.
Yeah.
No, man, I'm just for the people.
Yeah.
But then again, another commanding officer got on my ear and said, you need to take this so that you can do better things for better people. And I was like, oh, okay, then cool. And then I was like, yeah, cool. And it was amazing. It's a highlight. I wouldn't say my career highlight for me, this is going to sound really, really weird, is the small one-on-one conversations I can have with people, and I can turn things around.
Yes.
And fundraising the money for the kids' hospital, because I was a sick kid myself in Middlemore Hospital.
Really?
And we got to dedicate, myself and a chap called Inspector Hirone Waratini, I got to donate, I think it was about 90 grand to the kids' hospital in the name of one of our fallen colleagues.
Wow.
And that was amazing. And his mum was a nurse, so it's like, tell me that's not full circle.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. And even now I still go out to Middlemore Hospital and visit some of the kids on days off. So it's like, yeah, cool.
Amazing. So medals aside, it's all the good stuff, those meaningful moments, one-on-one. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. It's not the,
accolades can wait.
Yes.
I love that.
So how did the Bryan and Bobby thing start then? Because that's an interesting thing to go from Queen Service Medal through to
so I was
a children's television show.
Yeah, and that was bizarre. It was really bizarre because as I was going around the schools and community groups, Sophie won't remember because she's way too young. You might. But there used to be a chap on TV called Constable Keith Sniff.
Yes, I remember
On What Now? He's only on for about a minute, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going around to all these schools and community groups and doing my thing, and they're like, what happened to Constable Keith Sniff? And I'm like, I don't know. And then I started thinking, why isn't anybody asking me about what's happened to Police Commissioner Doone or what happened to Police Commissioner Rob Robinson? I'm like, whatever this man had, he had some type of traction.
Right.
So I got hold of a couple of people I knew and said, hey, look, I want to do this.
Yeah.
So we trialled it down in the Waikato. None of the kids knew me.
Yeah.
And basically the dog just nodded its head, didn't even have a voice. Right, that was it. It's like, And I said to the kids, hey, if you think you've had a great time, we've done some amazing things, please write us a letter.
Yeah.
And by that stage, I'd managed to meet Susie Cato and said, I've got this great idea for a TV program. You know, how many times have you been pitched that idea?
Oh, for sure.
I roll. Yeah, okay, cool. But then I'm like, I rang her up and I said, Susie, I got an awful problem. And she said, what? And I said, I've got like 6,500 letters from these kids in the Waikato. And she's like, boom, I think we just got an idea for a TV show.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, how do I answer these? And she's like, the best way you can. I'm like, okay, cool. And you're duty bound as a police officer to answer all of them.
Interesting.
So I did. Yeah.
So out of all the ride-along sidekicks you've had, would Bobby be the most compliant then and easier to work with just because you could nod?
I don't know about that. Yeah. We've had our moments.
For a nodding dog.
Yeah, on the variety bash with once he got his voice, on the variety bash with Ewan Gilmore and those types of people.
Yes.
Rest his soul. Yeah.
Well, Ewan Gilmore's up there.
We've had some great moments. And it's fair to say that Bobby's handler, Jimmy, he's one of my best mates now.
Yes.
And we have been to every single school apart from the ones on Stewart Island.
Oh, interesting.
Including the ones on Chatham Islands.
Yes.
Yeah, just amazing.
Wow.
And it's still amazing now to walk into a school and everybody's like, Constable Bryan. And I'm like, how do you know me? I'm like,
yeah.
but it's because they watch me on TV.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah.
That's great outreach and starting young, putting crime prevention in early.
Yeah. Developmental crime prevention is the official name.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
29 years.
Yeah.
Policing.
Like,
You would have seen a lot. Would have gone through a lot.
Yeah. Like I say to the kids at work. So when I started, I think there were 3 of us that had mobile phones. And she's like, they're like, yeah. And I'm like, we didn't have computers. The internet wasn't around. Google wasn't around. And even now, like talking to some of the modern day officers, they're like, what? So, if Nick Ratto released an album, you had to wait till the Friday and go to the record store to buy it. You couldn't just, I'm like, nope, that's the way it worked. So, lots and lots of changes in the world. The world's obviously got faster and quicker and everything else. With that, though, I've seen a lot of things that probably I'm not going to say we don't do so well, but maybe us as humanity don't do that well. Like we don't sit and talk as well as we used to. And some of the old school interviewers that I learned how to interview somebody from were amazing people. They could get people to tell their stories no matter what.
Right.
And I've seen gang members and police officers sitting on the same doorstep, both crying and hugging one another. Yeah. And I think some of that kind of gets lost a little bit because we're so sort of, and we're off to the next one. So,
Do you feel like the human element is sort of lost a little bit?
A little bit.
The policing side of things?
Yeah, I think not just with policing. I think just with everything. If we just slowed down a bit and maybe took 2 or 3 steps back and got to know one another a bit better, things actually might work out the better for all of us all, I guess.
In terms of highlights of your policing career, I know that you've done a lot of charity work, the TV stuff, that kind of stuff. But in terms of like, I don't even know, arrests, big moments.
Taking down the baddies.
Yeah. Is it a good cop? Is it like a superhero movie where that kind of thing happens? Is like, I remember that case and I solved this situation.
Sometimes you get stuff like that. Other times you'll do stuff and you'll be driving home and you'll be like, I think I just saved that person's life. Yeah. And it's like, did I? Maybe I did. Okay, perhaps I did. Oh, well, that's pretty cool. And then that's it. And then as you get older, you start to realise the importance of that because maybe that person doesn't have any children and now they do. Maybe that person goes on to do great things and maybe they wouldn't have or something else like that. Or maybe you've just spoken to somebody. You've spoken to like a 7-year-old kid who then comes running up to you and says, Constable Bryan, you're the reason I joined the police. You spoke to me when you were at Bucklands Beach Intermediate. And I'm like, did I? Go, that couldn't be me because it's like, oh, that was like 23 years ago. And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, but I'm only 26.
Yeah.
But it's just that thing of that type of stuff. How do you measure that? I don't know. But, and like you said, as you get a little bit older, you begin to realise the importance.
Well, I was just going to say, for someone who's working in this line of work, the level of compassion, great communication skills you have, where did this all develop from? Is there a time in your life that you felt that you've been in that place and you developed some really great life skills that helped you to become who you are, the great...
Please don't use my name in
Constable Bryan Ward.
It makes me blush. So when I was at high school, I wouldn't say I was arrogant, but I was quite angry. I used to have the nickname Sammy, short angry man, when I played sports, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. That sticks sometimes.
It sticks.
Then I had a big incident happen in my life, and it was from that moment onwards, I pretty much went, right, every single person I meet, I'm going to try and treat with kindness and compassion as best as I can. Honest to God, that is the turning point in my life. And I was like, that is it. I'm going to try my best. And like, I'm just like anybody else. I put one foot in front of the other, and sometimes I make some dreadful mistakes and go, really? Yeah. How could you not see that canis lupus? But that from that moment on was pretty much like, I have to do this. I have to do this for me, but I have to do it for other people too. And that was it.
How old were you at that time? What was the turning point?
You were going back. 24. 24.
You were 24.
Yeah, and it was because of a spectacular breakup between a girl that I'd been dating for about 5 years.
Right.
And it was just that moment of, oh my goodness, all of a sudden I'm not perhaps who I thought I was. And all of a sudden, as It's a great song lyric. I'm not going to tell you what song it is. It was the death of innocence as a dreamer at life's door. That's how and it was pretty much, it was the first, not bad thing that had ever happened to me, but it was the first thing where I couldn't do anything about it. And I realised then it was like, actually, if I treat people with kindness, I can do things and people can go and do other things as well. And then hopefully it just keeps going. So, so that was that.
So 5 years you'd been dating this person.
No, roughly, yeah.
How old were you when you got together? So 19, obviously?
19, yeah 19. Yeah.
Where did you meet? How was it? Was it a school thing, university thing?
No, we used to work together in a supermarket.
Right.
She was a couple of years behind me at high school, and we started chatting and everything else. And we found,
Which supermarket was it?
Oh, I can't tell you really.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll never shop there again. It's gone now, actually. To be fair, so yeah. But we met and we got on famously, and right from that moment, everybody was like sort of, I'm going to call it PC. PC, you guys had like joined at the hip. You're doing everything together. My God, I even took dance classes, for goodness sake. So that's how keen I was. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that type of stuff. And like, remember, this is an ex-front row forward rugby player.
The angry one too.
Yeah. No, and now I go and take up martial arts as well because I'm beginning to think maybe I'll join the police because I'd done a year at university and uni wasn't me. It was too impersonal. There wasn't enough sort of, I'm not going to say humanity there because they'll get a little angry at me, but it just wasn't personal enough.
What were you studying? What did you choose?
Oh, a whole raft of things. Archaeology. I was doing sociology. I was doing political science. I was just like, boom, let's
cram it
see
all
if one
in.
of these sticks. But none of it stuck because I was like, I like classics. I loved classics and Stoics and all that sort of stuff. And I got there and the lecturer, he was just awful. And I was like, I got like another 6 months of this garbage. Oh, well. Yeah. So I went to Teachers College. I got a diploma in teaching special ed, or as I like to refer to them, different needs kids.
Yes.
But in that last week, we had a thing where, crazily enough, we did this thing of you go and spend another week in a career, and I got to ride night shift with the police.
Oh, wow.
So after day 3, I'm like, there's something in this.
Yeah.
But anyway, so,
So you were still with your
Yeah, I'm still with my partner then.
Right.
And we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And she'd had lots going on in her life. Sort of family members had moved away and she'd moved in with family members and that hadn't worked out. And she'd gone boarding and flatting and everything else. And then she started off at university and she came to live with my family in our house, right? My mum's Irish, so you know what it's like. Everybody in, of course you do, with a name like Rado, everybody come in. So she lived with us for about a year and a half, and so in the meantime, while I'm thinking, maybe I should join the police. I loved music. I can't play an instrument, which is really weird, but I just loved music. I'd buy like 3-4 like cassettes back in the day a week, and so a job came up at the local record store. I was like, this is going to be like Nirvana. So I'm living the life at Riley. I'm getting free concert tickets, records, that type of stuff. And I'm getting paid to listen to a whole bunch of music that just, boom, mind blown. Yeah. So anyway, so she finishes her university degree and says, I really want to do a Camp America experience and everything else. Right. We'd been overseas for my 21st to Australia and we'd done other stuff and we're getting on famously. It was beginning to get to the stage where people were talking about, you guys are going to get engaged and everything else. And we'd kind of spoken about that. And it was like, that probably is going to happen. Who knows? But we'll wait and see.
You've already done the dance classes.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we spoke about that. And then she said, I want to go and do this Camp America thing and go and experience that. Right? Nobody wants to be that guy who goes, no, you can't.
Sure.
And I loved it too much, right? So I'm like, cool, no worries. Inside, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. That's, yep. So I'm like, okay, cool. That'll be really awesome. And we spoke about it, and we were all cool about it and everything else. And then we're like, when you come back, then we'll sort of give it a couple of months and everything will go well. Done, no worries. So she graduated from uni. She went and did her Camp America experience. We had a couple of phone calls because remember, probably Sophie won't, but it was the 90s. So no internet,
and
no
she's
nothing.
In the wilderness at
camp.
Exactly.
And
how long was the Camp America
I think
for?
It was about 3-4 months or maybe.
Oh, it's a bit of time.
So and it's that thing of it's a communal phone line. So when the phone rings, you're racing to it going, hi, how are you? Oh, no, it's not here. So you get the phone call. Yeah, cool. Okay, I've only got like 15 minutes. I'm like, cool, no worries, let's go, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, cool, love you, miss you, take care. Yep, cool, no worries. And must have had about 3 or 4 of those phone calls. It's about, I think it's about 4 or 5 weeks before she's due to come back. And I come home from work and there's a letter there And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, no worries. I'd sent her once, and she's told me she'd send me one back. So I'm like, cool. And I open it up, and as I open it up, I'm like, dearest Bryan. I'm like, oh, that's a bit weird because she doesn't normally talk to me like that, but that's cool, no worries. Blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I've decided that blah, 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 and while I'll always love you, and I'm like, oh, okay, then cool. And in the envelope was another, and bless PC for this, was a letter to my mum, just sort of saying thank you for allowing me to be part of your family. Please look after him. He's super precious to me and everything else and blah, blah, blah. But, and I remember rereading it a couple of times because I'm thinking, you know, I like comedy like you do, Nick, and I'm sitting there going, wait for the punchline. There'll be, I'm just joking, can't wait to see you in 3 weeks' time. Yeah. And
well, you're reading for something that's like, I'm not reading it how I first read it.
Yeah.
You know,
And I read it and reread it and read it and read it. And then I can remember coming out and seeing my mum and just being ashen. I just like, I don't know how to explain this to you. And she's like, I know. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, I can't. She said, I'm sorry. She says, there's nothing I can do for you. And I'm like, I get it. And it's like, it's grief. And I'm not going to compare it to somebody dying because I've been there and I've experienced telling people that and everything else. But it was that type of feeling. It was like the biggest spoonful of emotional Drano, and then just watching everything just go.
So that for you was not, it was blindsided, it was no signs.
I mean, you're on the countdown, 3-4 more weeks.
Yeah. You know, and then, you know, like in my mind, I'm thinking maybe 16 weeks from now, maybe, so we're talking maybe 3-4 months. I'm going to be like, we're going to be getting engaged. Who knows? That might be the way, that might have been one of the reasons she didn't want to come back. And I fully understand that. And I have to say, love and respect to her. She made a very hard decision. She was only 23. Okay, cool, no worries. The worst thing about it, and I was thinking about it as I drove over here, if she'd actually said to me, this is what's going to happen, this is going to sound really corny, but I probably would have, because I loved her that much, I would have said, I will carry that burden for you for the rest of my life. No problems at all. But I didn't kind of get that opportunity. I just got the sort of, and we're done.
Over.
Yeah, you know, and that, I mean, it is what it is. But yeah.
So you get the letter, you're trying to process this huge news. What's the closure? Do you get to call her? Do you get to speak to her?
I haven't spoken to her in 30 years.
That was the last.
That was the last.
The letter was the last.
With her. Yeah. So I have.
Oh, but you had so many questions.
Yeah, I still have.
You still have.
Yeah. You know, and I'm still friends with some of her friends and that type of stuff and everything else. I've seen what she's gone on to do. I always knew she was going to be an amazing human being, and she is. So God bless her. But yeah, I've got all these questions. So, and I have literally spent years trying to answer them, and maybe why or what's and everything else. And there's lots of reasons I can think of why she would have done this. But at the end of the day, none of them make any difference anyway, because it's happened, it's been and it's gone, and you have to process stuff and move on.
Can I get you to explain, you talked about what was it? Something about Drano.
Oh, emotional Drano.
Emotional Drano. For me, well, I've had a few things in my life where it's happened where, and this is what this whole podcast, where it came from, is it felt like it had been punched in the breadbasket, and it was like the intake of breath, and you just, you know you have to get up again, but you just feel like you can't do it. You know what energy it takes to get back up, and the positivity and the things, and you know all the things that you have to do it, but then you just go, I don't think I can stand up again from this.
Yeah.
Can you talk to that and how it felt and what you went through and
and maybe the timeline that existed.
So I was like numb, right? So the day afterwards, I'm thinking, as you do, because I was like 24, how do I get to America? Yeah. I got to get to America. If I talk to her, maybe things are going to work out better. Maybe I'll get the answers to some of my questions, or maybe just like why, you know, it's like, even worse is like, because she's living with us, I'm walking past her room every day. So I'm seeing all the pictures of us and stuff we've brought together and like, you know, all that type of stuff. So I'm literally looking at our past and our future to be at the same time. And I'm like, oi, that's pretty cool. Not. But so the next day I go down to the travel agents, and I walk into the travel agents, of course, because I was a couple of doors down from where the travel agents was. They knew me. He's like, where are you going? I said, America. He's like, whereabouts? And I'm like, I know the state that she's in, but I'm like, oh, hang on for a second. And then I'm like, can I come back and see you? And I'm like, yeah. So I go back and I have a look at the mailing address, because that's the only address I've got. I kind of know roughly what area it is. It's a PO box. I've got no address. I can't. I've got nowhere I can go. Right, and I've got a communal phone number, and that's it. So I'm pretty much like, cool. So I go for a walk after that sort of penny dropped, and I just sat down on the beach, and I'm like, I've got nothing. There's nothing I can do. We're done. Yeah, and like you say, it wasn't a punch to the gut. It wasn't even a, oh my God, I can't breathe. It was, I am utterly and completely numb. I've got nothing. Like, you could have come up to me and said, hey, buddy, I'm just going to hit you over the head with a baseball bat. And I would have said, go for it, because I ain't going to feel it anyway. And that was, and I think I spent probably, maybe the next 3 or 4 months just like that. Just,
wow.
Yeah, but I was kind of good at disguising it as well, because, I was the class clown. I was the guy who always had the witty comebacks and everything else and blah, blah, blah. The thing that made it even worse was that everybody knew she was coming back.
And they were
everybody,
Bryan.
you'd be on the countdown, man. And I'm like, well, I got some bad news about that. And some people would do the thing, and I'm like, oh, please don't. Or, oh, there's plenty more fish in the sea. I'm like, but I've just spent 5 years, almost 5 years with this fish, and everybody says we get on so good, and we're a great couple and everything else. And then it's like, and that fish is no longer anymore. Or even worse was some of the people that we worked with or maybe people that knew, would just sit there and say, I don't know what to say, I'm just going to give you a hug. And then they'd start crying. And I'd be like, that's awesome. But it's not helping with this. I feel like I'm in a pit of quicksand here.
Yeah.
And it's getting worse with every tear. I mean, God bless them, because they were trying to, empathise with me, and I really get it, but yeah, like, of course, because I was at home, when mum and dad or whoever would go out, they'd be gone for the weekend or something else like that, and all of a sudden I get phone calls from the next door neighbours, or the next door neighbours would knock on the door, because PC was part of our neighbourhood. She knew all the kids and everybody else, and they're like, yeah, type stuff. She'd play with the kids and all that type of stuff, and the next door neighbours would be there, and I'm like, what are you doing here? So, I just sort of pop in for a cup of tea. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, no worries. And then I realised they were actually putting me on, not a suicide watch, but they were just checking on me and make sure. Yeah. I was like, no, you guys are all good. You're fine. I appreciate the thoughts, but yeah. And it was, just weird.
At this point, it sounds like you're numb. It's maybe shock of it. But I'm wondering, everyone's really watching out for you. Was it quite a dark time? Do you feel like, Yeah,
probably the darkest time in my life, if I've got to be honest. And it was just that thing of nobody could do anything. You just can't. I mean, we've all had our hearts broken. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do. I don't want to be that guy that says, you've never felt a love like this before, because that's the most tried and true line. But it was just like, you can't do anything. And other people, like people who were sort of, then they were in their 40s and 50s. Like, I can't imagine how that feels. I'm like, I've been with my childhood sweetheart since I've been 17. I'm like, seriously, that's not what I want to hear now, because guess what? She was my childhood sweetheart. So it was just really weird. And then I sort of thought, you know what? Perhaps this is a kick up the pants for me to go and see the police recruiting officer. So I kind of dragged my rear end to the office and went, I'd like to join the police. And they went, oh, well, you'll have to lose some weight, because I was a bit bigger than I was then. And you'll need to bring something extra to the party. And I was like, great, no worries. There's another kick in the teeth for you. And so I walked out and I was like, okay, I'll go and join the gym. So I joined the gym, and it was up in Northcote.
How long ago from, like, in terms of the time difference? Because I feel like we've jumped a bit there.
Yeah, we have. Probably.
Well, no, in terms of not really the timeline, I kind of want to still, like, stay in that emotion of...
Bless you, Nick.
Can we just hold you there?
Just hold you there a little bit. No, just because I think it's really important that if other people are going through
Someone
this...
might be there right now.
Because otherwise it goes... This happened, and then I did this, and then it was great.
Yeah, no, it wasn't great.
So, but can we just talk about that, how it wasn't great, and maybe some examples or...
Yeah, so I didn't, like, there were things like I didn't talk to, I should have, in hindsight, I definitely should have. I didn't talk to my mates about it.
So you withdrew?
Yeah, I didn't withdraw. I was just like, yeah, okay, cool. Hey, let's go and do what we do type stuff, Yeah, don't worry about it, lads. It's all good. I'm fine.
So whenever someone would bring it up, you'd be different.
Yeah, we're okay. Yeah, it's all right. It happens, not to worry type stuff. But inside, I was falling to pieces.
So you were like making sure they're okay before?
No, it wasn't even that. It was just like, he's still good old Bryan.
Right.
You'd be upset about that. Yeah, I am a little bit. Yep. Yep, but it'll be okay. It's all right. No worries. And maybe even in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking, who knows, maybe in sort of 6-8 weeks, she might actually go, you know what, actually, I've made a dreadful mistake. Or maybe I haven't.
Were you still checking the email and whenever that phone
No, I didn't
rang?
have emails.
We didn't have emails. Did
Were
you write
checking,
back though?
checking the mail?
No.
No, you didn't write back. Yeah.
How do I put this? She did what she did for a reason, and it must have been incredibly tough to do what she did. And it's that old age thing, if you love somebody, set them free type stuff. So I thought, you know what, I'll let you talk to me. If you want to talk to me about it, that's fine. But otherwise, the best thing I can probably do is just to let you go free. Again, like I said, if she'd actually asked me, I probably would have taken that burden on anyway, regardless. But it was just that thing of, I don't want to be the pining boyfriend that says, please come back, you've broken my heart, blah, 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 and everything else. She had, and I was destroyed. But it was just that thing of, just go, because, and there was nothing I could say or do. So it was like, and like I said, I had the mailing address, but would you have had a look at the letter if you'd said no, Soph? Yeah, you probably would have gone, this is all going to be too difficult.
Yeah.
And looked at the letter.
Made.
You definitely probably would not have replied. And I get it. I fully understand that. So I just carried on, sort of like, yeah, type stuff, and went out and about with my friends and everything else. But there was stuff there that I was like, I was numb. I was listening to a lot of music through my headphones, that type of stuff. I wasn't withdrawn, but I wasn't the same person inside.
Yourself,
I was broken, to be fair.
You likened it to the grief,
Yeah, from what I've seen as a police officer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of steps and stages to that first shock, and the probably the next would be denial or something. This isn't really happening, or she might come back, and you never know. And then what's next? Is that you're starting to rebuild your life? Is that where you go to next? Is that?
Well, see, that's the funny thing, because like her stuff stayed in our house for 3.5 weeks. So I'm going past it like 4, 5, 6 times a day, and I'm like, do I go in there into her bedroom, because it's her bedroom, it's her stuff, and it kind of feels like really odd now. Type stuff. So I'm like, sometimes I did and sometimes I didn't. And then like 3 weeks later, her brother comes and picks up her stuff. And my mum says, I don't want you to be here for when her brother picks up her stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Why did she?
I think mum was just trying to protect me. She's like, I don't want you to like be here when everything goes. So I came back after her brother had been and taken all of his stuff and all of the stuff. And there's just like an empty room there. And I'm
so
like,
that was worse, do you think?
I have no, I don't know. Yeah, I just like, how can you make this? It's still a hug the cactus moment. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So then I was like, okay, cool. I guess that's it. Yeah. And there was nothing more I could say or do or anything else. Like, her friends were like, I don't know, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. I know you don't know. How do you think I'm feeling? But I didn't have I wasn't that gumption enough to say that to people. I was just like, yeah, okay, cool, no worries.
Was there a moment where it all fell over?
No, luckily.
Or like, was there a thing where it's just like, not a rock bottom, but do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, and then this as well, or like at that time, if you can remember.
Not really. Like, it just, I don't know. It just was just like this constant stage of numbness, and it wasn't like I've hit rock bottom, because I think I'd hit rock bottom. As far as emotions had gone, I'd like hit rock bottom.
It was just dragging on the bottom.
Yeah, it was literally just like a bottom dragon. Yeah. But, I was happy about stuff, but I wasn't really happy about stuff.
It is a front. Like
it is. Yeah. And like, today before, I've texted people today and said, I'm going to be on this podcast. I'm talking about this, and you probably don't know this, and they're like, oh my God, how did I not know? And I'm like, and now as a police officer, especially, I look at incidents I've gone to where people have said, I never have known, I would never have seen that. And I'm like, I fully understand that, because I've been that person that's done the happy smiley face so that you can't see it. Yeah. I mean, I guess, but from that moment onwards, I just had this thing of, I need to be more empathetic. I need to be more kind. And that might seem like a bit self-serving, but it wasn't. It was just this thing of boom.
Who to, though?
To everybody.
To everybody. So the person on your side and the person on her side.
Everybody. Yeah, right. And it was that thing of like, and to this day, I've never said a bad word against her, and people, like some people are like, that's cold and blah, 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 and how could you ghost somebody like that and everything else? I'm like, just let it be. It's all good. She had a terrible decision to make. She did the best she could at the age of 23. And yes, some people were going to get hurt, and sadly that was me, but just let it be, because she's gone on to have a happy life. And at the end of the day, thinking back, in sort of a kindness sort of way, isn't that what we wanted, regardless? Whether or not that kind life was going to be with me, whether or not that happy life was going to be with me or somebody else. There's too much anger and hate and regret and all that type of stuff anyway. So just let it be and just let it float downstream. So, but it took me years to figure that out. Like you said, Sophie, and even now I've still got questions. I'd love to be able to sit down with her for 40 minutes and go, can I? Yeah.
Pick your brain.
Yeah. Or let's just have a chat. Yeah.
With the words you were using, numbing, you felt numb.
Yep.
And a lot of people in that time might reach out for drugs, alcohol, bad decisions, bad choices. Did you feel, what was your vice? What was your thing to help you through? I mean, that sort of coping mechanism. Did you have anything? This is going to
sound terrible because, you've spoken about alcohol and drugs and everything. Heavy metal.
Heavy metal.
Yeah.
Really?
So I remember distinctively going into the record store where I worked, and the girl there, bless her, she was a real rough timer, but she was a lovely lady. And she says, I've heard about your news. And she goes, it's awful. And she said, there is nothing I can do or say to make it better for you. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, but I've had a few relationships. And I'm like, yes, I know. And she goes, I've always found that this is quite soul cleansing. And I'm like, what's that? And she introduced me to Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears. And I think as the store closed, and I can quite confidently say this now because the store owner's passed away, rest his soul. Yeah. We had that so loud that the store window cracked. Oh. And she's like, if you turn it up this loud, and I'm like, yeah, she goes, you'll find that all of that negativity and all those feelings that make you go, why, what, how come, it's my heart and everything else. She's like, just live through it. And I'm like, yeah, boom. Yeah. And I've always been a big Aussie fan ever since. But so that was my voice, heavy metal,
It's a good way to release it.
Yeah, well, it is.
The silent sufferer gets to actually feel it and release.
Go crazy. But it's one of those things. Because people, when I was at school, I was a very big Michael Jackson fan. I still am now. But, so when we were getting changed in the first 15 sheds, so I was talking to my coach about it the other day. He's like, Walkmans had just come out. And he's like, he said, they've got all these guys over here listening to In Excess and Jimmy Barnes and this and that. And he said, I turn around and there's my front row tight head prop listening to Michael Jackson. And I'm like, just what I do, man. He's like, yeah. He said, it was odd. And I'm like, yeah. I said, And now, when I see people that meet me from that era and they're like, what type of music are you into? I'm like, like Ozzy Osbourne, Motorhead, all the classics. And they're like, what happened to Michael Jackson? I'm like, yeah, it's still there, but they're like,
but okay, this got me through a time.
Yeah, got me through a bad time. Yeah, so heavy metal, I guess, music. It was always going to be something like that. Yeah. So, and then I discovered, I think probably because the martial arts I was doing as well, I discovered Zen and Buddhism and Stoicism and all those types of things, and that was a journey of who am I as opposed to what's happened to me.
Can we talk to that? Because for me, where this, and Soph will know this as well, is that when we went through something that, was the catalyst for this podcast, that was one of the things that got me through it and made me stand up again, which was finding Stoicism.
Yep.
How can you talk to that and why it was so imperative and why it was so connected with you on such a way?
So I guess because of Aikido, and Aikido as a martial art generally, really quickly and briefly, is using your opponent's force against themselves so that you can defend yourself. Right? It's not really an attacking art; it's more a defensive art. So we had some people come in and they were talking about meditation and everything else. So I was like, whatever. Yeah. I'm 24. I've come here to rock socks. And then I'm like, okay, there's got to be something in it. So I started doing some meditation and everything else. And then I started reading books about Zen Buddhism and everything else and things that you couldn't control and things that, and it's like, what can't I control? Actually, newsflash, everything. And then I was like, oh, hang on, that's just unlocked a big key there, maybe. Okay, so I go back to this darkest moment. Actually, that whole illusion that you had that you were in control, that's exactly what it was. It was just this big illusion. I mean, what type of asshole thinks that they're in control of somebody else to start off with? And I say that as a white ribbon ambassador. Now I've learned this stuff. And I mean, not that I was ever controlling anyway, but,
No.
And you can't control anything anyway. So So I started reading about Zen and Buddhism and Stoicism and everything else, and Marcus Aurelius, and and all those types of things, and reading those quotes, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, no, I kind of see, I get that now, it's like I understand that, the best thing I can do is actually bad stuff is going to happen to me, but actually I need to be stoic about it, and I need to press forward and keep looking forward because that's already been. There's nothing I can do about it, and. Yes, I was doing that, but also in the back of my mind, there was still a little bit. There's like, maybe she might come back. But it's like, boom, yeah. It's like, and that's all. And even now, like if I am having, and we all know it goes in ebbs and flows. I'll pick up a book on Stoicism, or pick up a book on Buddhism, or something else like that. Open it up, grab a line, and go. Let's just reflect on that for the rest of the day. Yeah, and that's really good. So even now, I go to the Daily Stoic quote, have a look. Yeah, that's my mantra for today and the way we go. Yeah, and so that was kind of good. And that was, like I said, I think that was the moment where I kind of went, this is less about us and more about me. And I need to think about me now because us is gone. And now I need to actually discover what type of person I want to be and what I'm going to be with my life. And that's the reason why, I guess. Yeah.
So when you're in that lowest of lows and and then you find that, what do you do to claw back? So what was the first thing that you kind of did?
Were you already doing
Aikido?
Were you already doing Aikido?
Yeah, I was doing Aikido already. So I'd given up playing rugby. I'd taken up Aikido, and I was with PC when I took up Aikido. But I'd only I was dabbling in it, to be fair. It was like a yellow belt or a white belt or something else like that. And then, of course, when this happened, I was like, right, well, I got nothing else to do. So I'll go to Aikido. I'll get the crap beaten out of me. I'll just get pounded. It's great. When you're feeling numb, there's nothing like a vigorous physical energy to smash you. Yeah, cool. So I did that, and I got further and further up the ranks, and, that was really good. But at the same time, I joined a gym and started thinking about getting into the police and everything else. The trainer I had was great. He was old school, and he was very much sort of like, right, you're going to be on the bike for 40 minutes. You're going to be standing up. We're going to get your heart rate between this and that. And I'm like, yeah, great. I'm like, when do I run? Because I need to run for the police test. I can't cycle everywhere. And he's like, that's not going to happen yet quite yet. And luckily, I say luckily, there was only ever 2 or 3 of us in the gym because it was lunch hour. So I would literally leave the music store, go to the gym, pound myself silly at the gym, and then come out and go back to the music store. But what I found was what I could do was a great way of disguising it to everybody as well, was I could physically smash myself at the gym, and then I could jump into the shower and just sob my heart out. Wow. And that's what I did for probably about 2 months. And one of the guys that was at my gym was a wonderful, wonderful man, rest his soul, Doc Mayhew.
All Blacks coach.
Yeah, Doctor,
yeah.
And so him and I always used to jibe one another, and I was a big Richard Lowe fan because I was an angry man when I was playing rugby, right? Yeah. And he always used to come past and say, well, what would Richard Lowe say to that? And I'm like, okay, yeah, type stuff. And he saw me one day in the bottom of the shower, and he says, what's up? And I told him, and I said, this has happened, dude. I said, I get it, and I don't get it, and I can't understand it, and I can't make it work, and it just all like it just feels. I think I actually said it just feels like a bowl of spaghetti, and I don't have the bowl. It's just all running out through my fingers. And he's like, cool, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then he says, so in the All Blacks, when we have a setback, one of the things we do is we take that setback and we look to get better from it. And I'm like, yeah. And I again, I'm 24, so he's talking about the All Blacks, and I'm like, oh, yeah, right, yeah. And I'm like, cool. And he's like, so that's what you've got to do. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, you have to get better. And I was like, okay, what do you mean by that? And he said, you'll figure it out. And I'm like, cool, no worries. And that was it. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm not going to say stop sobbing straight away because I didn't.
No.
But a couple of weeks afterwards, I'm like, yeah, he's right. I do need to get better. And I do need to get fitter. And I do need to do this. And I started making plans about what I was going to do. And, I'm going to join the police by this date. I'm going to get fit by this date. I'm going to lose the 28 kgs that I need to lose by this date. this is how I'm going to do it. I sat there and I wrote out a plan, and it was before eating plans.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is what I'm going to eat for breakfast. I'm going to stay away from all the crap foods and everything else.
Yeah.
And all the weight started going off me. There's another funny story in itself. But, and then I started running. And like my gym trainer said, you're going to be running. So heart rate monitor on, above 165 for over half an hour, just full noise. Like there were times, I think, ready for this, Nick, because I know you love your exercise.
Yeah.
228 was the highest I ever had my heart rate, and I was getting tunnel vision. But it was kind of good because at that stage I was still doing the sobbing thing in the shower, but I was so numb, I would come out of that session physically destroyed, emotionally destroyed, and I'd be like, okay, I'm good now. And it's like, and I'd get like that 10 or 12 hours of like, okay, and it's like, it was, it felt like a hot air balloon, like, because I'd be like, and then I'd be like, oh, I need to get to the gym again. Yep. Yeah. And I wouldn't say got obsessed with the gym, but it was just, and it was quite good because I then got to get through that sort of roller coaster of emotions. And then I was like, okay, right. So let's focus on our goals. Let's do our stuff and everything else. So Doc Mayhew was a really, really big part of it. And the cool thing about that is every time I used to see him, right up to about 3 or 4 months before he passed, him and I would always stop and have a chat around Northcote when he was walking his dog and everything else, and we'd yak and everything else. And he'd always finish and he'd just go, better. And he'd walk off. And that was it. So he'd remembered it.
He did.
But, it's like, So it was, just amazing. And it was just that little bit of a sentence that just sort of made me go, it's a setback. And probably all that stuff with the Stoicism and the Aikido and everything else sort of compounding on one another and going, okay, cool. This is there's no other way of putting it. This is a big shit sandwich and you have taken the biggest bite. You can't unswallow that, my friend. But what you can do is go, okay, let's go. Yeah. And that's kind of what I did. So I went back in and saw the police recruiting officer probably about 6 to 8 months after that and went, here I am. And they're like, what have you got? And I'm like, first time black belt. And they're, yeah, cool. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Because I trained my ass off for about 2.5 years. I'd been like 4 nights a week type stuff because I wasn't doing anything else. And then, and she said, oh my God, you've lost some weight. And I'm like, yeah, I've lost 28 kgs. And she's like, have you done that? I'm like, running and exercise 6 days a week. And she's like, oh, okay, then cool. When do you want to test? I'm like, anytime you're ready. Because I'd done the test 1,000,000 times. Yeah. And I was like, boom, hyper focused because that's where I was going. Yeah. And so, and in hindsight, none of that would have happened if that hadn't happened way back at the beginning. So maybe I would have joined the police. I don't think I would have had the hyper focus to go, that's where I'm going, the drive, and So,
It's really good.
I know. I'm just like, I'm so glad all those things happened. Like all the good
I got to be so honest. I'm not. I'm teasing. I understand.
Devastating heartbreak. But I'm so glad that, you were spotted in the shower at that moment. I'm so glad that it was Stoicism and Zen Buddhism. Because those things, this was breaking emotionally, but your heart grew stronger. You were physically able to, raise that heart rate and complete all those fitness tests and stuff. Yeah. And I'm just so glad that all happened because look at all you've achieved.
Yeah, well, that's the cool thing about it. And I mean, I know she's gone on to achieve some amazing things as well. Yeah. But that's the cool thing about it. And like everybody sees this happy, smiley Constable Bryan and Bobby and blah, blah, blah and everything else. And then when they're like, where did you get all of this energy to do this stuff? And why are you doing this? And, blah, blah, blah. And why would you do Pink Shirt Day and everything else? And I'm like, well, let me tell you a story. And I actually have to abridge it because otherwise I can see them doing that thing again of, I'm like, please don't. We've done it for years. It's like, So that's kind of like,
Amazing. We always, and this is so hard because there's so many great things in there, we always try to get one thing that you would suggest to somebody. Let's say it's a handbook of someone who's going through something like this. And what's that one thing that they could do? I know obviously it was like a combination of all those different things that you felt that got you to the point. But if they could have one bit of advice from you, if they're going through something like that, because again, like 29 years in the service, locking up gang members, going to horrific sites, doing, seeing people on the other side of this as well, right? So let's say, they did decide to go the other way, drugs, alcohol, suicide. You've seen that side. What advice would you give to them so that they take your path rather than the other path?
I would say simply this: there is always hope. Always. Doesn't matter how far down the chain you are, or whether or not you feel like you're a bottom feeder on the bottom of the ocean and everything's going wrong, there's always hope there. You just have to be able to find it. And hope to you might look different to what it looks to me, different to what Soph looks like. So that's the big thing, is find your hope and make it work for you, because that's the thing that pulled me through, was as well as Doc Mayhew's little blurb, was just that fact of he gave me a little bit of hope. And it was just that moment, boom. Like, he could have easily just walked past and, yeah, right, sweet, no worries. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's only girls, there's plenty of them type stuff. Like everybody else had kind of done. But it's just that fact of, I guess, hope and kindness, if we really want to go there. He stopped. He's chatted. He didn't need to. He was the All Blacks doctor, for goodness sake. I was just a guy I trained with like 3 or 4 times with. And we weren't really training. We're just sort of there or thereabouts.
Same time, yeah.
He didn't need to. But that was the amazing thing about Doc Mayhew. Bit of kindness, bit of hope. And it's like, boom, you're on your feet again and off you go. Of course, it took me a wee while to get back on my feet. And even now, it's like, that's one of the things I try and practice all the time, is kindness and hope. And if you give that to people, like Colin Powell says, perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. That's it. And that's all you need, is that perpetual optimism. Maybe today looks really badly. It looks really bad for you. What's tomorrow look like for you? And then you start thinking, what does tomorrow look like? So it's just that thing of kindness, hope, and optimism. And I think, that kind of would be my advice, is it's a cloudy day, I get it, but tomorrow, and I know it's so cliched, tomorrow will be sunny, but just hold the line, hold firm, because it will happen. But it's just a matter of, getting it there.
So I was really curious, actually. I was thinking, the journey to the police, the journey back, trusting your heart again to another. How long did that take?
5 years.
5 years before you
I dated a couple of times, but nah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, And then I met a lovely lady who's now my wife. And she was great. It still is. But it took a long, long time. And even now, I'm not wary of people's intentions. I think I've got after 29 years, you'd hope, I've got a fairly good read on people being good souls or not.
Sure.
But it's still that thing of like, and when I hear, particularly about kids, because I'm coaching a girls' high school rugby team as well, and I hear about some of their heartbreaks as well. Yeah. I feel like sort of the wise old sort of wizard who goes, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
But it's, it's the same. And like today, tomorrow, the day afterwards, there's going to be somebody in exactly the same boat that I was in. And it's just that thing of, you'll make it. Yeah. But it's about 5 years. And then me and my wife met, and that was it.
Do you talk about, PC with your wife? Does she?
Yeah. So like when I spoke to her about this podcast, I was like, boom, cool. And like I've had a couple of PTS dreams as well, to be fair, where one
like
of my big
a PTSD dream. Oh yes, right.
Yeah. So like one of my big issues has been previously in the past of I've had a dream where it's people I can't say goodbye to. So they might have been people that have been killed in the line of duty that I've known, might have been people that I've gone to their houses and I've had to attend their places for a sudden death or something else. And it turns up in the form of, sorry Nick, this wasn't in the notes, but it turns up in the form of a car accident. And the first car I get to, there's multiple cars everywhere, and the first car I get to is a car where I open up the door and there's PC in the front seat.
So it's a dream that you have on a recurring basis.
Not anymore, because I got some help with it. But yeah.
So you would go through the dream, and each part of the dream
was different people. Yeah. So, but it would always start off with her, and then I'd turn around and I'd be like, oh look, and I can recognise, and then there'd be dozens of people because 29 years in the police is a long time.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, we're getting cool, no worries. So, got some help with that, and that dream is gone. But,
So what do you do with that if someone is going through that? Like, how did
with
you
that
say
dream?
goodbye to, well, yeah, how do you fix that?
I'm assuming as well, like there would be some support for you guys. And
yeah, there is.
in
Yeah.
the
It all
force.
depends on what your flavour is. How do I put this nicely? I had a bad run-in with a psychologist when I started off in the police. I had to do something that was particularly very nasty, but I did it, and then I got asked by a psychologist a couple of weeks later how I was feeling. I was like, well, I think you're about 3.5 weeks later, and it didn't end very well, Sophie. Right. Perhaps a little bit of that Sammy came back rather than kindness and hope. But so what I did was I actually, it might be the Stoicism, the Zen Buddhism. I've always kind of leaned towards the police chaplains, which is really weird because I am not a person of the cloth at all. I listened to Ozzy Osbourne, for goodness sake. Right? But so I went down and saw the chaplain and said, hey, have I got a story to tell you? And she's like, cool. And I told her the dream. And the dream was so vivid that I can actually say, oh, I'm in the dream again. I know what's going to happen here. I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to turn around and see that person and that person. And it's like Inception on steroids. So I spoke to the chaplain. I said, what do we do? And she goes, well, how come she's there? I'm like, well, have I got another story to tell you? And I tell her the story. She's like, cool. I think that we've got an issue here not being able to say goodbye to people. And I'm like, yeah. I said, there is a part of me that doesn't want to say goodbye. And she's like, you don't have to, but we want to say goodbye to these people in here. So what we did, and this is going to sound really corny, is we got an envelope and we put the names of the people that I could remember on those envelopes. And then she said, if you want to, you can write a letter. The only person I didn't write a letter to was PC. Everybody else I wrote a letter to, PC, I just put her name on the envelope. And she said, now you can either burn them, push them in the bin, or just get rid of them. But just as you do it, goodbye. And that's what I did. So, and the dream went that night. Wow. That's how good it was. But yeah, it's like, yeah. And I said to the chappie, the chaplain, I said, oh, I'm not going to say goodbye to PC yet. And she said, why? And I said, because I don't really want to say goodbye to her in this literal sense. I've said goodbye to her many years ago. And she said, yeah, but there's still a part. I said, there has to be a part in there that after 5 years still goes, yeah, I still got feelings for it. So I said, and she's like, always kindness and hope. I'm like, you got it. Yeah. So yeah. And that's how that, so every now and then she'll pop up, but yeah, that's all good. Yeah, put it, store it away, and we're done. Yeah. So yeah.
It's an amazing technique.
Yeah. Again, it was purely because the chaplain said, let's try this and see if it works. And I was like, okay, let's try it. And it did. So yeah.
It's going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
People listening to this.
Yeah. And I mean, it's such a simple way, you don't have to do it. But you do have to, I'm not going to make a ceremony out of it, but you do actually have to say goodbye to that person, or actually think about what you're feeling and what that person meant to you, and then make it happen. Yeah. But yeah, just bizarre that it, like literally that night.
Yeah.
I was like, because I'd had the dream for about 8 weeks. And I was like, oh, like I was getting to the stage, I turned around to my wife, I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, you had it again? I'm like, yep. And all the stuff, all the people I've ever spoken to, they say the second your sleep starts getting interrupted, that's the dynamite stick, because you're going at both ends. And I was like, yeah. So I'm like, uh-oh, panic. Yeah. And then a couple of burnt envelopes later, here we go. Yeah, no problems.
Wow, yeah, it's the subconscious mind keeping you still very much a part of what's going on in the background. And even though life's moving forward, it's kind of pulling you back to the time where you just needed the closure. And it sounded like you had that with the envelope technique. And I think that's such a powerful symbolic thing.
Well, especially for you, because it's all started with a letter.
Yeah, it's that was the ironic thing about it. I'm like, and that I think might be part of the reason that I didn't want to put a letter in the envelope, because I'm like, yeah, this has kind of gotten a little bit kooky now, and it's gone full circle, and I'm like, I don't want a letter. It's like, I'm all good. It's like, So but and again, I don't bear her any ill will. My life would not be what it is today. I've got a beautiful wife. I have adopted a beautiful boy, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. I've achieved some amazing things. I've gone to some amazing places. Best of all is I get to meet amazing people. And none of that would have happened if none of that had happened. So,
Just very quickly before we go, I know your T-shirt there.
Te Kiwi Mai.
Yes.
Yep.
Can you talk to that, because people watching or listening to this who are in any kind of forces or even PTSD,
Yep.
there is help for people.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a bit of a myth that we all get the support we deserve as first responders and veterans. It's not quite true. To be fair, if we all got the support that we needed as veterans and first responders, it would probably be costing millions of dollars. Lots of us have got PTSD. We see, like somebody once said, we see the worst things of humanity, and because we see those, eventually, it doesn't matter who you are, it will take its toll. So we do get like psychology sessions and ways to cope and everything else. And again, even me, I meditate, I do yoga on the odd occasion, so and all that type of stuff, right? I've got all my stuff together. Well, no, because those dreams are coming in. So I need to go and see somebody. So Te Kiwi Mai does wellness workshops for veterans and first responders. They're a charity that was set up a couple of years ago by 3 wonderful people. And they are looking to create sort of wellness retreats for people and the such, like to the scale that they are in the UK. So to give you some idea, and it's a great story that Rebecca, one of the co-founders of Te Kiwi Mai, told me. They asked a lot of the soldiers coming back from the Middle East, where is the safest place for you? Because lots of them PTSD, they'd seen some horrific things. And they figured it all out. And in the end, British Airways built a fuselage for them. And they built that fuselage and made it like a business class suite, because that was the place that the soldiers felt the safest. So when the soldiers need some help or they need some care or some treatment, the soldiers go and visit this fuselage and they sit there, because when they were coming back from the Middle East, they knew that they were going home to see their families and their loved ones, and that they'd survived, and that everything was going to be kind of okay. So it's their safe place. But not in a million years would you think, would you?
That it's just that, like the seat on the way home in an airplane.
Yeah, but it's their safe space. So, it's that type of stuff that Te Kiwi Mai hopefully will bring to New Zealand. So, I mean, no government department can afford that type of stuff.
No.
But by the same token, Te Kiwi Mai is doing these wellness workshops where they sit down people who and say, right, okay, Nick, we're going to sit there and we're going to paint one another's faces. And you think, oh, really? That guy's in the SAS and this guy's a police officer. Wow, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
But they do it. And then once you start painting and talking to one another, and it's that thing of kindness and hope and humanity, it's like, here we go. I'm beginning to talk about things. Hey, what was your stuff? Oh, my stuff's this. And then we start to unpack. And it's like, yeah, great. So, so they're doing lots and lots for the veterans and first responders.
Can you say that statistic of people who aren't in the first responders?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's fascinating.
Yeah, so so people who aren't a first responder normally see, I think it's about 4 to 9 incidences of trauma in a lifetime. A police officer with 20 years experience will get about 600 to 800. How many years have I been in, Soph? 29. Yeah. So that gives you some idea of the stuff that we see. Yeah. So, and yeah, like I say to people, when you first come out of the police, you sit around a table and you tell all your friends their stories, because they're like, wow, it's amazing. And I did that for a wee while, and then I did it once at a dinner party where I knew nobody there, and I could see everybody turning green, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is not good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, it's just so that gives you some idea of the trauma that we deal with. So
we'll put that up as people can access that, and so we'll put that as a link in the bio.
That'd be great.
Or just some more information or a website or something like that. So
superb.
Constable Bryan Ward, what a guest. Thank you, mate.
No worries.
Appreciate you.
No worries.
Thank you for sharing.
It's been cathartic for me, so it's been really good.
I know that this is going to help so many people.
Yeah.
Already I'm burning some envelopes when I get
home. I'm writing them in my head.
I've got your name on them. So, yeah. No, actually, but my absolute pleasure. It's been really, like I said, it's been really cathartic for me.
Yeah.
There's been stuff here that I haven't told people for 30 years.
Yeah.
So to get rid of it, I'm like, oh, thank you, Nick. Yeah. Because when he asked me, I was like, and especially when you said, oh, don't answer for 3 weeks. I'm like, cool. I'm like, and as you do, it's meeting my husband.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's like, it's meeting. No, it's not. It's like, oh no, it's the dark well. I'm going there again. And it was, but that's cool.
Yeah. No, we appreciate it.
Why do you think it's taken this long? I'm just curious. Why do you think?
It's a self-protection mechanism. It's also that thing of, I don't like to fail with people. Yeah. And I'm not saying that I treat it like a failure, but I just, it's that thing. Like somebody said to me, if you were her, how would you have done it? And I was like, ooh. And then I said, actually, there's two sides of a river. And I've never crossed to that side of the river. I've never given up on somebody in a long-term relationship. So I couldn't tell you. But that's, so she did what she had to do. That's fine and everything else. But I can't see that view because I've never been there. And because I've never been there, it's like, and of course, when I was doing all the exercise and everything else and blah, 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 I'd done the sort of sobbing and I'd done the physical exercise and everything else. And then I got to the stage of people don't need to hear this because I think I've got it under control. But it was also that thing of, because I think I've got it under control, I'm losing all the, fish in the sea and everything else. And because I'm losing that, people are being more sort of okay with stuff with me. And because they were, it was easier for me. So I think probably what I did was actually just stick that in the rucksack, the emotional rucksack, and we'll jog on. And when Nick said do, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so thanks, buddy. Yeah.
Let's put the rucksack on the table. Yeah. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. So we've just had Constable Bryan on the show, and man, that was great. We would love to hear your debrief moments as well. What, like, you've just listened to that or just watched that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? Has this happened to you? I mean, how long did it take you before you started to trust again, to start dating again, to heal your broken heart?
Yeah. What do you do after a relationship? What do you eat?
Yeah. Well, I was really so happy to hear because you could go to really dark places being in the dark place. He went to music. He went to exercise. He went to philosophy, Zen Buddhism and Stoicism. And I just think, gosh, I'm so glad he found those three things as opposed to, drugs, alcohol, and deep depression.
Because even when you do go to those things, people would go, I see that. I can see how you would go to that. And often that is not accepted, but it's kind of forgiven almost.
It's an understandable. You're the lowest of the lows, and that's where you reach for the quickest fixes.
Or the highest of the highs, which they are the literal.
And stimulants as well. If you think about, he was saying, I felt numb. Like you're trying to bring in
to feel something.
Feeling,
That's where self-harming comes into play with that kind of stuff. And then when the drugs, the drugs don't work from that famous song, line in that song. Yeah. There's lots of stuff to unpack there. What was your...
So when we first got the notes for this episode,
right,
I was triggered.
Okay.
Because...
Why were you triggered?
Because I was PC.
What? Not literally.
No.
That's a heck of a reveal at the end of the podcast.
We've been together for 14 years. And obviously before we met, we would have both had relationships.
Yes.
And weirdly, we don't really ever talk about that.
Don't want to know.
We don't want to know. Like we'd just say, oh, my ex, and you'd be like, don't want to know. And it's kind of been probably an unhealthy thing to do.
Probably, yeah.
But we just pretend that never, ever happened. But I have had ex-boyfriends, and I did end relationships. I finished...
What, in a letter scenario? Or?
Yeah, well, it was email, but
Right.
I mean, this was triggering because I got to sit across on the table from someone who shared in such deep description how it felt to be the person who was left while the other one just went off and created a new life and met new people. And I felt so triggered by this because, I have ended relationships. I've been the villain in the story.
But what I would say off the back of that, though, is quite glad you did that.
Well, I'm certainly, because here's the other side of the story.
You're the hero in my story.
I'm the hero in your story, but I'm the villain in a couple of ex-boyfriend stories. Yeah. And it hurts my heart to think how much, cause and effect we can have as humans. And it was really cathartic for Bryan to share his experience being the one who had his heart broken. It was a really important and humbling experience for me to sit across from that, to hear that side in such detail. How about you? I mean, what relationships have you had? Have you had your heart broken like that?
Yeah. Like,
did you break the heart?
A bit. Like, yes, I definitely get that. Taking that amount of time to get over somebody or something, and about 4 or 5 years and that kind of thing until you sort of trust again. There was a lot of like ones where it would just be like you're all in and then they're not, and then you're like, oh, and then there's the like embarrassment from that. I remember when I was like, I think I was like maybe 17 or maybe 16, maybe 18. Anyway, I met this girl in, I think it was Whangamata. We were doing these surf lifesaving trips and things like that. And met her over a weekend, and then I was like, well, this is the one for me. I'm getting married to this girl, and it was just all ridiculously why would you even think all of these things? And I made a mixtape for her.
Oh, of course.
It was Lenny Kravitz Again, which we play on a radio station now called More FM. And every time I come, it reminds me not of her and like longing for her. It was like of the mixtape I made and sent to her, and the embarrassment of her at receiving that, going, who's this guy? We met for like a 24-hour, 32-hour period, and then this guy's like pouring his soul out. And so I get that being all in and then being rejected, and then from the next one on going, I'm not going to put myself on the line again like that straight away. Definitely not going to put a musical mixtape towards it.
At least 6 months in.
Yeah, but then I'm so buoyed by the fact that on the other side of that horrendous heartbreak, he's gone off to achieve the Queen's Service Medal, 29 years. He's saved people's lives. He's gone into dangerous situations. He's helped kids. He's inspired people to go join the police force. He's done all of these things, and none of that would have happened if it was the easy relationship. Yeah. Where he might even still be working and being made redundant because he was in a defunct record shop. His life she could have had this thing where she came back, stayed with him for 10 years, and then gone off and done something like even more heartbreaking for him, because there was something in her that was like, I should have stayed in America, or I should have followed my dream of doing whatever. So I don't know, like I feel...
Yeah, no comfort creates greatness and great achievements like that. It's got to be the flip side of that, where we learn, and we've had to face really hard challenges to learn that empathy and that compassion that he uses in his line of work all the time.
And for you to go and have that triggering conversation there is kind of good, because then you get the empathy of that other side.
Yeah, because the part of me that wants to go, well, she may have wanted to, live in America, and she may have. But the thing is, that's just the defense of.
Well, no, but equally with our children, we wouldn't want them to be stuck in a relationship because they didn't do, or like make a hard decision like that, and not be doing it because it would hurt the other person. Because sometimes you can't please everyone all of the time, and sometimes that's
an authentic, showing up authentically in our relationships
totally
is really important.
And to have that conversation early, to write the letter, to the mum.
Yeah, the letters. I mean, just speaking to the chaplain and the PTSD dreams, and it's cutting the cords by writing the name on an envelope, writing a letter if you can inside, to say goodbye when there's no closure. I mean, this would happen a lot for people where someone's gone like that and they never got to say goodbye, whatever that is, whether it's a loss of someone or a heartbreak. This was such a lovely thing to share, a powerful thing to share, because that's such a great tool for people to know about.
Interesting he didn't put her name in it, and interesting.
Or letter to her.
So interesting to see how that will come around, but also knowing that that's an option. If he does want to cut the cord or to burn the letter, then that's an option. But again, listen, this is would love to hear your comments below about your takings from it, or even just quotes or lines, or this is what I got from that particular.
And Doc Mayhew.
Yes, so he's was a really quite, in terms of the All Blacks, obviously they're quite high regarded, but the doctors are not normally. But Doc Mayhews was one of those.
Bedside manners aren't usually their thing, is it? But I was thinking, he was a messenger, right? A special person put in front of Bryan in that moment. Who else was he going to listen to? An All Blacks doctor, as a rugby guy, as a tough bloke, to send that message that he needed to hear, just get better,
And also the fact that, by the way, you just don't train with the All Black doctor. Like the happenstance there.
That is so serendipitous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's as much as he says, oh, I was nobody, we'd never really trained together and that kind of thing. But for him to, stop, and because the amount of times I've seen people or there's other people in the gym showers and things like that.
No one ever stops in the gym showers when I've been.
No, not at all.
Not crying on the floor, but also it's very, you're in your zone.
I might go to the Anytime Fitness receptionist and go, mate, you want to, you might want to clean up in the shower there. Someone's got some salt on.
Mental health crisis.
You got a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
But I think there's loads of stuff, and the fact that who else was he going to listen to? His friends, his mum, his a random person on the street.
Someone inspiring.
Isn't it funny how everything kind of does come full circle in terms of they started off with a letter, and the only thing that he could say goodbye to was the burning of the letter. Him being literally on the floor of the showers, crying and bawling his eyes out. It took the All Black doctor to come in and give him the only person that he would listen to in that thing to get him out of that.
Him and Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy Osbourne, the heavy metal
R.I.P.,
element, the element of that, and. And this is the thing, this is why we wanted to do this podcast, was that there's no one thing, and it's always it's different for different people. Mm-hmm. But who would have thought that turning up a certain style of music and then just sitting with that and turning to that music would get you through? Who would have thought that, burning a letter with writing something on it would be the catalyst for you to fix that thing? And you may take away that and you might do it and you go, it didn't work for me, but what did work for you? That's what we'd love to hear. And we'll put our socials, how to contact us up now as well, with our email address and things. But thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening and being part of this the show. And thank you to Bryan, Constable Bryan. I know you're all going to be searching Bryan and Bobby.
Yeah.
And I need to see this nodding dog now.
And the intricacies of that relationship, and what arguments did they have with a nodding dog? But anyway, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.